Again, Senator Cornyn, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Know you have a busy schedule, no doubt, these days.
It's crazy.
I can imagine. Listen, let's start off by talking about PPP and that second round of PPP funding. Is it covering those businesses who missed out on that first time around when monies ran out?
Yeah, Oscar, when we did the first PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, we didn't anticipate the demand and the speed at which all those funds would be depleted. And indeed, when you do something this big, this new, and this fast, there are bound to be some things you want to change on further reflection. That's certainly true here. First of all, we spent all the money in 2 weeks. And so that's why we ended up appropriating another $320 billion for a total of $670 billion for the Paycheck Protection Program. Of course, the whole purpose of this is to keep people connected with their employees, the small businesses that benefit from this low interest loan and then grant, assuming they keep their employees on the payroll till June. Right. But we saw that there were some people we didn't anticipate that would get in line ahead of the mom and pop small businesses. That's, I think, been largely corrected now. This was not designed for large publicly traded corporations that have access to credit. This was for small businesses for whom this was a lifeline. Right. And the difference between survival and demise.
Well, you know, some banking officials I have spoken with recently tell us some business owners might be hesitant in applying for and or spending their PPP monies they've already been allocated. They're waiting for guidance on the certification of PPP's loan necessity. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, I am, and that's been another challenge. Just because Congress passes a piece of legislation, it takes a while to get it implemented. That requires Treasury Department guidance. And that's been sort of the goalposts have been moving. But the goal is to make sure that we keep people connected to their employees, to keep people off of unemployment or losing their jobs. And we've been tweaking it literally almost on a daily basis. But my encouragement is for people to go ahead and apply. If somebody applies in good faith, believing they're eligible and actually gets the loan, then we won't. This is not a game of gotcha. And but I know that some people were better prepared or maybe more aggressive about making those applications. That's why out of the first group of $350 billion, right. $28.5 billion went to Texas small businesses alone.
Do you think there will be another round of individual assistance checks for people who remain out of work?
Well, of course, that was unprecedented. Millions, tens of millions of checks went out to individuals up to a family of four making $150,000 or less could qualify for as much as $3,400. So most of that money is out the door, direct deposited in people's bank accounts. The rest of it is on its way. But I think what we didn't see that as sort of the only way we wanted to help individuals. That's why we beefed up unemployment insurance compensation. We expanded the eligibility. We extended the period of time you could collect it, and we added an additional $600 on top of the state weekly benefit. Yeah. So I think we were looking at this over trying to cover these in a number of different ways. So I can't predict at this point whether there will be another round of direct assistance. We are tapping the brakes and trying to see how what we've already done is working before we decide what the next move should be.
Right, and you mentioned that supplemental funding, that extra $600 that goes on top of the unemployment benefits that a person can receive. That runs out, I believe, in July. You think that might be extended?
Well, part of that has been a little bit controversial, I guess, to be completely honest with you, because in some rare cases, some individuals can actually get more money in unemployment compensation than they can by taking their old job. And we certainly don't want to incentivize anybody to decline to go back to work. And indeed, if you are offered a job and you turn it down, then that's grounds to stop your unemployment compensation. So we're going to have to take another look at that. We certainly don't want to pay people more not to work. We do want to help out as much as we can, but that may need to be tweaked.
Okay. Let's go to the CARES Act. The president signing that back in March, and it includes a provision for the suspension of payments for federal student loan borrowers. That's through September 30th of this year. You think there might be an extension of that?
Well, I think we're going to look at the whole program and see where we are. I think the thing that's so anxiety-provoking for so many people is we don't really know what we don't know about this virus. Hopefully, we'll be much farther along in terms of our of treatment and eventually a vaccine. And I know many of our Texas universities and other schools have said that they expect to invite or welcome students back in person and even have college football. That's pretty ambitious, but maybe that's just the Texas spirit that's always a little bit optimistic. But I think we're taking it one day at a time right now.
Yeah, and since you bring that up, you say maybe that's a little ambitious, the Texas spirit. So in your estimation, how do you balance that? What do you think you'd like to see going forward?
Well, that's the $64,000 question. Obviously, public health and public safety come first. But there are many predictions about this virus that simply didn't pan out. But that means we don't really understand exactly how this will play out. We do know that Texas was not hit as hard as some other states. For example, New York had 39% of the mortalities or deaths from the coronavirus 19 for the country. Texas had 1.2%. And indeed, we're finding now as a result of antibody tests that are being conducted on people that don't have any symptoms, that there are people who are asymptomatic. In other words, they didn't get sick, but they apparently did get the virus and are developing antibodies. So working with the Food and Drug Administration as well as the President's Coronavirus Task Force, we're trying to, again, take this one step at a time to see where we will be. I don't think we would have predicted 2 months ago we would be where we are today. Some people were predicting much worse fallout. But I know there's a lot of fear out there and a lot of uncertainty. We need to reassure people that taking appropriate precautions, that is wearing protective masks where you can't socially distance more than 6 feet, washing your hands on a regular basis, don't touch your face, and then socially distancing more than 6 feet, that you can safely operate and you can get back to semi-normalcy. That's what the Senate is doing this week. We came back after being gone almost 6 weeks, but we knew you can't stay locked down forever. And at some point, we need to begin to reemerge and re-engage with one another in this economy. But we want to do so safely.